Chapter 426. The Chi of Origin. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Under constant barrage from Zhang Yuochen and the monster ape, Master Shenhai's injury began to worsen. His reaction time was gradually getting slower. I won't be able to take it for long if the attack continues. I can't believe that somebody like Zhang Yuochen is so difficult to deal with. It's no surprise that Master King Mu and Master Xuexin have fallen under his hand. With a stern look, Master Shenhai thought quickly and came up with a plan. While resisting the attacks of the monster ape and the thunderbolts, he rushed toward Zhang Yuochen. If he could kill just Zhang Yuochen, the crisis would be resolved. When only 3 steps were left between them, Zhang Yuochen still remained seated with his legs crossed, apparently without any intention of standing up. Go to hell. Master Shenhai whirled his half-saint staff, mustered all his strength, and drove it down towards Zhang Yuochen's head. This was the much-awaited opportunity. Zhang Yuochen reached out his right hand quickly and stretched a finger toward Master Shenhai. He said, "Space Vortex." The space in front of Master Shenhai opened and turned into a chaotic maelstrom, which swallowed first the half-saint staff in his hands, and then ripped his head from his shoulders. At such close range, Master Shenhai did not stand a chance. The space cracked shut, and everything calmed down. Only a headless body remained, which soon toppled backward. The monster ape howled and rushed toward Master Shenhai's body, wanting to smash it into pieces. "Stop!" ordered Zhang Yuochen. He stood up. Just then, a green haze of strong wood nature exuded from Master Shenhai's belly. The plants around the haze grew at a surprising speed. Shoots sprouted quickly to waist height. Is this Chi of Origin of the 5 Elements primitive world? Zhang Yuochen was a knowledgeable person who had read countless books, which enabled to generate this speculation. Every world has its own Chi of Origin. The inferior, medium, and superior primitive worlds, and even the Kunlun's field all had their own Chi of Origin. The bigger and more stable the world was, the stronger its Chi of Origin. When it became powerful enough to produce spiritual intelligence and turned into the spirit of the world, it, in turn, could affect everything in that world. As for the mortals, Chi of Origin is the creator, and the heavenly way. It was blessings, causality, fate, and unseen morality. Every different Chi of Origin determines the rules of the world. The Chi of Origin in the 5 Elements primitive world was agglomerated by 5 powers: gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. The 5 spirit treasures of the 5 Elements primitive world were the golden Ganoderma lucidum, the black glazed spinel, the purple cloud patterned eaglewood, the source of spiritual fire, the bloody saint cultivating soil. They came into being by the absorption of the 5 kinds of Chi of Origin. Master Shenhai possessed the wood spirit's Chi of Origin of the 5 Elements primitive world, which was one of the 5 fortunes of the 5 Elements primitive world. After a few tests, Zhang Yuochen determined that the green haze was part of Chi of Origin of the 5 Elements primitive world. I suppose that Master Shenhai had just obtained it and had not completely tamed the wood spirit. Otherwise, he would have used the power of the 5 Elements primitive world and killed me easily. Master Shenhai was really unfortunate. Had Kunlun's saint of the 5 Elements primitive world not found him, and Zhang Yuochen not killed him, he would have gained the advantage of Chi of Origin and become a half-saint, and thus, a legend of the 5 Elements primitive world. If so, he would have been the son of Origin of the 5 Elements primitive world and the God-chosen emperor, which would have allowed him to command all the living creatures in the 5 Elements primitive world. Of course, it was too late to say these things now. Since it is the Chi of Origin of the 5 Elements primitive world, once I refine it, I can improve my martial soul enough to achieve the half-saint level. Zhang Yuochen could not conceal his excitement and walked carefully toward the green haze. He opened his hands and activated his genuine Chi, preparing himself to capture the Chi of Origin of the wood spirit. Swoosh! The wood spirit trembled violently and shot a brilliant green bolt toward Zhang Yuochen. It just looked like a beam of light, but to Zhang Yuochen, it was like the whole world was crashing down on him to crush his martial soul. Zhang Yuochen's head was in dire pain. His eyes turned pitch black. It was the kind of pain which destroyed someone's will to live. The Chi of Origin was not always kind toward human beings in its own world, let alone towards an outsider like Jang Rukin. It felt that Jang Yuochen wanted to suppress it. Sensing his animosity, it launched a counterattack. Even though it was from inferior primitive world, Jang Yuochen's current cultivation was not strong enough to tame it. When Jang Yuochen's martial soul had nearly been smashed by the wood spirit, the yin-yang wooden map suddenly flew out of Jang Yuochen's eyebrows and started to suppress the Chi of Origin of the wood spirit. The wood spirit seemed to be astonished. It rushed below the earth and intended to flee. Swoosh! The yin-yang wooden map emitted a glaring light which looked like a dimensional gateway. It suppressed the wood spirit and kept it within itself. Subsequently, the yin-yang wooden map flew toward Jang Yuochen, ascending in front of his sight. Jang Rukin reached out and took the yin-yang wooden map into his hand. It has the ability to seal the wood spirit's Chi of Origin of the 5 elements primitive world into it. This scroll is definitely something. Jang Yuochen was not happy, but he remained dignified. He placed the scroll on the ground, spread it out, and observed carefully. The scroll was painted magnificently with the catalogue of the reckless wasteland. The scroll was painted with a lofty mountain, a treacherous ancient river, and a steep cliff. An ancient tree towered in the middle of the painting. According to Blackie, the tree in the middle was the sacred prime tree. Each line on the scroll was an inscription, including the inscriptions of ice, power, space, and so on. The scroll had countless of them. After the yin-yang wooden map had absorbed the Chi of Origin of the wood spirit, it appeared calm, just like an ordinary painted scroll. How is this possible? The scroll remains unchanged after absorbing the Chi of Origin of the wood spirit. Jang Yuochen frowned. He could not understand. He pressed his palm to the surface of the scroll and infused his genuine Chi into it. The scroll slowly absorbed genuine Chi. The sacred prime tree in the scroll seemed to come alive, and its leaves swayed and rustled gently. A few leaves even appeared to emerge from the scroll. A brief moment passed, but it was like a few months had passed for Jang Yuochen. Jang Yuochen immediately withdrew his palm and gasped. He was sweaty. The genuine Chi in his Chi pool had all been consumed. He felt weak. Jang Yuochen's sight went dark and he almost passed out. Jang Yuochen immediately meditated on the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean. After about half an hour, he finally recovered 1/10 of his genuine Chi and eased his spirit. Then he opened his eyes. "You're finally awake." Chang Kiki's face loomed large as she took a close look at Jang Yuochen. She was relieved when she saw Jang Yuochen open his eyes. She was excited and smiling. Huang Yanjun rushed up from afar. She glared at him with her beautiful eyes, and with an unpleasant tone she said, "Jang Yuochen, what are you pondering and why have you sat motionless for more than 10 days? More than 10 days? Jang Yuochen glanced at the yin-yang wooden map on the ground and looked puzzled. How could it have been more than 10 days? He clearly remembered just a brief moment passing, or maybe a few months had passed already. To him it was just a brief moment, yet the time passed very slowly. It had definitely not been 10 days. How strange. Maybe he had unconsciously entered the internal space of the yin-yang wooden map. Jang Yuochen's mind was in turmoil. He was unsure what he had gone through. If Blackie was there, maybe his uncertainty could be answered. Suddenly, Jang Yuochen humphed. He was surprised to discover that his spiritual power had improved massively. He had broken through to the 41st level. After spiritual power reached the 40th level, each level became 10 times more difficult to reach. Every level improved was certainly a decisive leap. Once a warrior's spiritual power reached the 45th level, he could be called the half-cent of spiritual power. By using spiritual powers, one could compete with the half-saint, or even kill him. An improvement from the 40th level to the 41st level was considerable progress. The increase of my spiritual power is definitely related to the universal holy wood. Jang Yuochen was excited, and if his genuine Chi had recovered, he would certainly infuse it into the yin-yang wooden map, allowing him to return to the mysterious state he was just in. Controlling the emotions in his heart, Jang Yuochen collected the yin-yang wooden map and looked around at the 3 people who were standing next to him. He asked, "When did all of you come here?" Huang Yanchen said, "My eldest brother, elder brother Chang and I returned to Fengling City. We waited for a day, yet you did not appear. We were worried that you had encountered a tragedy, so we came back to Dark Splitting Mountain. Seek said, "We have stayed here for more than 10 days. The third round of the test is just 1 month away, and many students have gone to the entrance of the primitive world. Since you are wide awake, I'll just signal the warship to come here and take us to the primitive world's entrance. Then, we can return to Myriad Chaos Mountain."